Welcome, and thank you for joining me. This is going to be my first YouTube video, so please bear with me as I am learning. Today I'm going to be doing a teardown on a Quantum Fireball Plus AS. This drive is 20 gigabytes and is kind of an uncommon drive. You don't see these super often, but it is bad. It is not reading any data. It is not recognized by the PC. The heads and the actuator arm just go back and forth and click, and then eventually it just gives up. Now the disks keep spinning, but it doesn't try to read any data anymore. So this drive is bad. Alright, well, I guess I should probably start digging into this thing. So these screws are kind of interesting. These are Phillips screws, unlike the usual Torx T8 that you normally see. Now I do see that there are two Torx screws holding the actuator arm and for the motor bearing to support it, of course. I've never torn down one of these drives. I've actually torn down quite a few drives in the past. But of course, not on video. Okay, so that's interesting. These are T9s. I've never seen that before. So Quantum seems to do things a lot differently than many other drive manufacturers. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot to show you guys just the overall way the drive looks. I mean, you've seen the top, but here's the bottom. So you can see the motor is casted in with everything else. It's not a separate piece. You can see all the electronics on the board. Looks like the motor driver is right there, as well as some other ICs. I will be taking this board off as well. There we go. Dang, that's a tight seal. I wonder if it's a gasket. Oh, wow. Okay. You guys gotta see this. Wow. Okay, so it is a gasket. So that is interesting. I've never seen that before either. So this is the first time I've actually torn down a Quantum 3.5-inch hard drive. So that's kind of strange, but pretty cool. So this is a landing zone drive, looks like. And it only has a single disc. I was not expecting that by the weight of this drive. It's pretty heavy. But I guess that's just the chassis. All machined on the top. Interesting. Here's the filter. So it does, so they also use Torx screws around the peripheral of the spindle clamp, the motor spindle. And then here's the heads. Or I guess this is the actuator arm, mind you. And these down here, right there, those are the heads. This is interesting. So this has a plastic, I don't know what you'd call that. It's the piece that holds the voice coil back here. The voice coil is what moves the head back and forth. Head lock. So as the drive speeds up, the wind that the platter makes pushes this vane over and unlocks the head. I will be powering this drive up with the cover off, so stay tuned for that. So yes, but it looks like it's made very nicely. So it looks like there is room for 1, 2, 3, 4 discs. So this drive can accommodate up to 4 discs. Was not expecting that. Maybe this drive is a little bit newer than I thought. I thought this would have been from the 90s or early 2000s. And I'm sure it's still from the early 2000s, but maybe not quite as early as I thought. Considering that it's 20 gigabytes and it's only using 1 platter. So it's kind of smart that they did this instead of engineering a whole new drive. I mean, I know a lot of companies do that, but Seagate and actually every company has made drives where their consumer drives, their baseline drives, are, the chassis can only accommodate 1 disk. So, but you can see here, and notice this centerpiece stays still. So this must have ball bearings in here, and then as this rotates around. I like this drive. This looks like it's built very well. It's a shame it failed. Although it is quite old, and I do not know how many hours are on it, but it is probably quite a few. I imagine this drive has probably ran for 10 years or so non-stop. That may not be the case, but oftentimes it is. Now, most drives do not have a machine surface like this, so I would not be afraid to pry up on the side. Now, this drive is broken, so it's not a big deal if it gets marked up. But I do want to keep it looking nice, because I'm not just going to throw this drive away after I'm done messing with it. There we go. So big, strong magnets. So here you can see how this headlock mechanism works. So right now the head cannot move, but now it can. Now you should never move the head on a drive. Well, I guess mostly you won't be taking apart a drive that you intend to go back together. Now, never do that, because it is ruined when you open it. Because unfiltered air gets into it and dust gets on the platters. And because these heads, especially on the newer drives, could be floating only 100 atoms away from the platter, 1 speck of dust can be a big problem. You can see that lock right there. Alright, I'm going to put that top magnet back on, and then I'm going to power this thing up with the cover off. Come on. Alright. This is gonna be a little bit tough. There we go. Alright. Time to power this thing up. I got my power supply here. Let me move you guys over. And you'll see exactly what it was doing before I took it apart. You'll see what I'm talking about by the heads going back and forth. Oh, maybe it's not building up enough airflow. This headlock to go. Let me reset the drive here. There we go. So without that cover on to direct the airflow. But yeah, that's what it was doing even with the cover on, so this drive shot. But pretty cool. So yeah, you can see, I cannot move the heads now. But then if I just bump this, now I can't. Oh, now I can. Pretty cool, huh? Alright. Well, unplug this drive. I almost forgot. Let's pull the board off of this one so we can see what's underneath it. Probably not much, but I know some of you guys are going to want to see that. As I said, not really anything. Although, this is fascinating. This says MKE on it. I'm guessing that's the manufacturer that casted this chassis. That's interesting. That's neat. You can see the pins for the motor. These are 3-phase motors. 3-phase brushless DC motors. Now, despite what you may believe, brushless DC motors are actually not DC. These are 3-phase AC motors. Well, that's it for this one.